Hello everyone, how are you going? In my previous Japanese rice fish video, I introduced my mini pond in the Japanese style garden and received so many reactions and lovely comments. I'm stoked. Thank you so much. So today, here I'd like to show you my updates of how my pond and fish went, and I'd love to share with you what I learned from my mistakes. Honestly, I made so many mistakes this time. Hope my experience will be helpful for you not to make the same mistakes as I did. During the midsummer, I often find tiny fry swimming in the pond. Every time I find them, I put them in the plastic cups attached in my mini pond to separate from adult fish so that they were kept safe, not eaten by bigger fish. I ended up having 14 fly in the cups. The cups had small holes on the bottom which allowed water to get in and out to keep the water level same as the main part of the pond. I cleaned leftover fish food carefully using tissue paper or a spoon, and sometimes gently add water from main part of the pond to prevent contamination in the cups. The fry could swim through the holes, but they were normally swimming at the surface and don't usually dive down in a steep angle to go through the little hole, so I thought they were okay, but actually few escaped. Ideally, these cups should have fine mesh bottom. Also, unfortunately, the weather had been so bad back then. We had a massive thunderstorm, and one night I forgot to cover the pond. Aggressive rain and wind must have washed my fry out. I lost so many of my babies, and there are only 6 fry left there. We expected more thunderstorms at that time, so I decided to move them in the safer place. I kept them in this fish bowl. This is actually a flower vase. And an open-shaped bowl like salad bowl would be better for them as it can provide more water surface area. But I have curious cats here, so this shape is probably safer. I used the water from my mini pond to minimize the stress of changing place for the fry. I knew they like light green pond water which has phytoplankton in abundance. But I made a mistake. The water from my mini pond wasn't really green because it was diluted with lots of rain from the night before. My camera can't show you well, but there are 6 fry in this vase. At the first week, sadly I lost 2 small fry. I think they starved to death because I researched and found that rice fish fry easily die of hunger, especially when they are younger than 2 weeks old, because they can't eat fish food by themselves. I was giving them finely ground goldfish food, very small amount, but 3 to 4 times a day. But those baby fish were not great swimmers. It wasn't easy for them to get the powder food floating at the surface. In Japan, lots of rice fish lovers feed their fry zooplankton called paramecium. They can be anywhere in the water, so that tiny fry can more likely reach their food. They are available in many online shops in Japan, but I couldn't find them here. I even tried to catch and cultivate them by myself, but it was no success. I continued using ground goldfish flakes. One day, I was changing water using a baster, but after the cleaning, I realized 1 fry was missing. Next week, I did another water change. This time, I was so careful and did everything slowly. But again, I lost another fry. I was so frustrated. I have to say they are good at hiding, or my eyes are pretty useless. Also, I realized this glass bowl was a mistake. As it is glass, It gets too much sunlight, causing an increase of string algae. And this small size doesn't help the situation. It makes it harder to maintain the water quality. I was always worried about contamination from leftover fish food or droppings, and changed water probably more often than it was supposed to be. In the end, I only had 2 fry left. However, one of them seemed to be deformed. He was facing upward. I thought he was sick, and I gave him saltwater treatment, but he didn't get better. My husband named him Gyro from gyroscope. So only one successfully grew up and went back to the pond. It was an absolute failure. It was the beginning of autumn, and I noticed my fish stopped breeding. I really wanted another chance to see my baby fish. For rice fish to be ready for breeding, they have to be well fertile. Considering that I gave them only goldfish food, they might not be getting enough nutrition. Zooplankton called Monidae, which is a type of water flea, is often used to feed rice fish in Japan. They are helpful to keep the water healthy as well. So again, I tried to catch them at my neighboring lake, but the water flea I caught were not Monidae. They were not suitable for rice fish. I was disappointed, but I didn't want to make the process too complicated to look after my fish. So I decided to use things that I can easily get here. I found that at some rice fish farms in Japan, they feed boiled egg yolk. If it works, that will be great. They loved it. I fed them egg yolk twice a day and goldfish flakes once a day for about a week to get ready for babies. I didn't want to feed eggs longer than a week because it could contaminate water. At the same time, I found an article about water snails. It states that snails could eat rice fish eggs. I knew there were quite a few snails in this pond. Well, it's time for resetting my pond then. I moved all of my fish to the large buckets, hoping that they were gonna breed again there. So I made sure that each bucket has both male and female. Male fish's dorsal fin has a slit at the back, but female doesn't. Also, male fish's anal fin is shaped like trapezium, while female one looks like more triangle. Generally, male fish has bigger fins than female, and female fish has fuller body than male. But honestly, it is hard to distinguish the sex of fish when they are in the pond, as you can see them only from the top view. Good balance of breeding is to have more female than male. As I expected, I found lots of snails and their eggs in this pond. Snails reproduce so fast. To get rid of them, I scrubbed the pond and rinsed with hot water. I found lots of snails in the pebbles too. I washed with hot water and dried completely under sun. I know it killed good bacteria, but I wanted to make sure they were snail-free. I liked this water plant called swamp pepper, but now this must have snails or their eggs inside. Well, what can I do? First, I placed the plant in the sunny area with minimum water for a few days. Water snails can't survive outside of water for a long time, so that they won't stay on the leaves. I collected some clean stems, washed them thoroughly, then kept them in a bowl of water. Sooner, they started shooting roots. I planted in a small terracotta pot with a bit of garden soil. and topped with coarse sand and pebbles. Then gently soak in a bucket of water for a few days. During the time, I changed water several times until nothing dirty came out from the pot. Then, now my snail-free plant is ready. I placed pebbles at the bottom first, then put this terracotta pot with narrow holes in the pond. But I don't recommend this pot because I found it later that it traps fly inside. The holes are too narrow. For these guys in the buckets, I was feeding them goldfish food and ground tropical fish food which contains more protein, and I stopped feeding egg yolk as I didn't want to contaminate the water. Also, I tried DIY rice fish breeding floaties. Sorry, I don't know what to call them, but they hold eggs well when the fish lay eggs on them. If the eggs are dropped on the bottom, they have more chance to get moldy. Anyway, they are easy to make and apparently very effective, so why not making my own? Cut thin slices out of pool noodle and make some donut rings, then prepare a scoring pad. I cut in half, then cut my fringe strips. Roll it like sushi and squeeze the closed end into the donut hole. Then it's done. Just give them a bit of rinse and massage to loosen the fiber before use. I kept my adult team in those buckets for 6 days, and there you go, the water is already green. They can now go back to the main pond, and it's snail-free. I added this floating plant called Amazon frogbed. You might laugh, but I put only one. Snails often lay eggs on this floating plant, and their eggs look like a clear small jelly bubbles, so it's very easy to miss. I wanted to use one that I knew is definitely clean. Anyway, they will grow back first. After the adult team left from the buckets, I transferred the green water into a 15-liter size bigger bucket very carefully. The water should be yellowish green, not bluish green, and shouldn't smell musty. By the way, these floaties in the buckets did a good job. There are not many eggs, but collected the last batch of this season. I put them back in the bucket. And this time, you know what I did? Actually, I did nothing for the first 2 weeks. The green water looked after the fry. I was so happy to see my babies swimming again. When they became older than 2 weeks, I started giving them powdered food. To keep them in a big bucket like this was actually easier because it's just like you have another mini pond which allows nature to look after them. But just be careful with mosquito larvae because they can eat small flies. I don't say this is the best way as I had to compromise things because of the product availability here and I'm still learning. But I definitely got the better result than last time. It is getting cold here. Since water temperature dropped down a lot, my little fish are taking longer to grow. I know Japanese rice fish can handle cold weather, but not the smaller fish. So I decided to move them in the fish tank inside of my house. Actually, I moved my adults there as well. I didn't have to, but I hate cold weather myself, so I don't want them to be in the cold water. Now they are all here until spring. Gyro is now 6 months old. He is still gyroscoping. My swamp pepper is still growing, and so has Amazon frog bid, waiting for the fish to come back again in my favorite Japanese garden. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Hope to see you soon. Bye!